All right. Well, so this is our first live podcast/podcast, our first official one. We appreciate anyone who's going to be watching. Basically, this week we're just going to be winging it because we didn't have enough time to get together topics because we were busy setting all this up. So just bear with us, and we appreciate anything that you guys watch or like or share. Anything will be helpful, but I guess we'll go ahead and get into this. So, how your guys' day been?
I worked a lot today.
Yeah.
Made a lot of pizza.
Word.
Prepped up a bunch of people for a rush.
How about yours?
Mine was good. I was off today.
That's what's up.
So I got to chill.
Yeah, I was off today too. I ended up sleeping until about 3 or 4 o'clock because
Nice.
a certain someone woke me up around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get back to sleep till about 7.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty tired, but I'm gonna try to be enthusiastic and do this well. But yeah, so anyway, well, what are you guys been up to as far as the last week? Anything interesting happened at work or?
No, nothing ever interesting happens at work.
Wow, that was a good question.
But I did release a new song.
That you did?
Yeah,
It's called Glitter Moo.
It's called Glitter Moo.
It's dope.
Go check it out.
Yeah. And now you have a Facebook page as well, like with your poetry, right?
Yeah.
So what is
it's
what is
called
that?
Soleil Poetry.
Awesome. Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I've looked over some of them and they're really
That'd
good.
be
So
awesome.
yeah. Well, let's. I guess we'll get into this. What have you been playing any games recently or doing anything like that? I know we were playing Kingdom Hearts 3 for a while. But
Yeah, I'm still playing it. I finished it, but I'm playing it again now.
True.
Yeah.
How's and we might have our buddy Elliot come over later today, just depending on what he decides. We're gonna have a few other guests, but basically we haven't heard anything back from a few people. We heard back from this morning, but I didn't message him back because I was asleep, so that's kind of on me. So yeah, but at least we have us three, and so this it'll be good. But all right, let's see what. Go ahead and get the news pulled up so we can.
We're going to do like most recent news.
Yeah, just do like Google News so we can kind of find stuff to talk about.
What is the most recent news?
Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain's real thoughts about Metallica have been exposed.
Oh gosh. What do you think? What if it's something like, he actually really liked their music?
They were cool news. I mean, I know that he had a problem with Guns N' Roses. He didn't like what's his face?
Axl Rose.
Yeah,
right?
he didn't really like Axl Rose, but I've never heard anything really bad about his thoughts on Metallica.
Well, Metallica didn't like Axl Rose either.
Yeah, they were.
Because of that one concert where James accidentally got lit on fire or something, so they had to like cut the opening show short because Metallica was opening for Guns N' Roses.
Oh shit! Yeah.
But then Axl Rose just didn't go on because his throat hurt or something. So basically, the whole concert got canceled, and then they started rioting because of it. It caused this huge riot.
Let's see. Commercial radio and MTV were for the masses. The print medium was for cult fans. On the last of the band's trips to New York before Nevermind came out, Janet Billing took Kurt to Madison Square Garden, where Metallica was premiering their new album at a giant listening party. Kurt liked Metallica and had a good time, yet he was also brooding about how to stave off a possible press backlash to Nirvana's forthcoming album, echoing the spin he'd given Montgomery and Thurston. I guess Thurston is maybe Thurston Howe from, or not Thurston Howe, but Thurston from not Soundgarden, Sonic Youth. Kurt once again brought up about a girl reminding Billing that he'd always written melodic songs. He wanted people to know he hadn't just changed because he had signed to a major label, and he knew Janet was a publicist who was regularly in touch with most of the journalists who covered the indie subculture, and that she would give him a spin to them. She remembers Kurt read everything. He was always into straddling between the indie and mainstream rock worlds and pulled it off. Okay, so I guess he didn't have a problem with them. That was kind of a misleading post, but whatever. That's cool. Let's see. So how so have you decided if you guys like, are you and Elliot and Andrew gonna actually start doing a like gaming channel, or do you guys know?
We don't really have any plans like that. Me and Elliot have talked about starting something like that. He actually was texting me, I want to say last night, at the same time I was telling him about this podcast.
Yeah.
He wants to start playing Jack and Daxter.
Word.
He's excited about that.
Yeah, it's such a good game. Right now I'm playing Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm pretty far in it already. It's fun though. Basically, have you ever played any of the Mass Effects?
No.
It's like an open world space odyssey type game where you travel to different different planets. Basically, in this one, they've traveled dark space and reached Andromeda, the galaxy Andromeda.
Galaxy.
And so, what you're tasked with doing is exploring the worlds and seeing what. You have to find resources, help fund these planets, start these planets, and then you meet an alien race. So basically, it's just like an open world exploration game where you can do all that. The first 3 I played a little bit of. So at this point, we lost about an hour and a half of video recording, so this is a jump skip about an hour and a half after the fact. I would also like to add at this point, for some reason, the focus was a bit off, so everything looks a little bit blurry. But I promise by our next podcast it will be better.
Are you watching? I'm calling you.
He is
Don't
not,
say the N-word, dummy.
But
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah,
Dude, what you up to?
I'm just in here playing games.
Dude, are you playing Jack?
I played a little bit of it just to get the controls back, but I've been saving most of it for whenever me and you play.
Hey, John, what's up?
What's up?
I know. Hey, Elliot. Sorry, I was saying John, what's up? Because he just joined the...
I was like, I'm not John, but I'm saying.
John, it's been forever. How have you been?
Yeah, bro, we're live on Facebook.
Yeah, get your ass over here.
How's that going?
It's going good. We tried to record, but we lost some footage, so we're about to re-record because we didn't realize my camera. There's something up with it. Whenever it gets to the 30-minute mark, it like stops recording. So we're trying to figure that shit out.
he's playing games with Elliot.
Wait, are you with John right now?
Are you playing games with John Gillespie right now, Elliot?
Yeah, about to be.
Hell yeah. John, we asked John what he was up to. He said he was playing a game with you.
Yeah, me, him, and Shane are about to be playing Killing Floor.
Word.
Fuck
Nice.
yeah. The hell
And
is
yeah,
that?
I've been good, man. Just been hanging out, doing this now.
Hell yeah.
This is so confusing. Well,
what you want to do later, bro?
How late are you gonna be up, homie?
I don't have to be at work till 3 tomorrow.
Oh, word?
So yeah, if you want to come through later, feel free, man.
I was gonna ask if you want to fucking play some Jack later.
Yeah, I do actually.
Jack and Daxter?
I fucking do. Yeah, Jack and
Word.
Yeah, so I bought the bundle, right?
Yeah, it comes with Jack 2 and 3, right?
Yeah, and it also comes with Jack X Racing, which
Wow.
which wasn't a fucking thing.
Yeah. I've never actually played Jack X Racing.
Oh, it's just sweet,
Basically, they sold out and tried to make a fucking, basically like a
Until we
combat
actually
kart
start
racing
recording.
bullshit fiasco thing.
I can't remember, was it on PS3 or PS2?
It was on PS2. They got re-released on 3 and re-released on 4.
Okay.
Sony, if they can make money, they're gonna do it.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, that's a flagship series, so of course.
No, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, it's funny as hell if you like. I can't remember what video I was watching the other day, but they were like comparing games. Like, well, this game came out in 2001, so you can't really talk much shit about it. But this also came out in 2001. It was Jack and Daxter and this beautiful ass and scenery. It's like,
Yeah, completely open world, no loading screens. Like, that shit was impressive back in the day.
2001, dude, made me shit my pants.
Yeah, dude. Like, I remember I'd never even heard of Jack and Daxter, but Josh was like, you need to get that game and play it or some shit. So, like, I got it for Christmas one year.
Oh, I can't miss mine.
And I didn't know what I was getting into, man. But
Yeah, I love Jack and Daxter, Precursor Legacy, the first one, it's still my all-time favorite because it feels like they got like a new director or writer or something when they went into Jack 2 and 3 because it went from eco to guns.
yeah, there's a huge difference. And, like, he can talk now and he's, like, saying cuss words and shit.
Wait, who can?
Jack.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, from Jack. So in the first game, he's completely mute. It's just a classic platformer. But in the second one, he gets guns and shit, and he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass" and shit. Like, he's like a hard ass in the second game. And he gets injected with dark eco. Yeah, the beginning of the game, he's in prison for 2 years, and they're like injecting him with dark eco.
In Jack 2?
In Jack 2, yeah, it starts because they get
Maybe I didn't play Jack.
they get transported to some other like alternate. I'm not going to spoil
And I
it.
agree, John, by the way.
I'm not going to spoil the plot, but they basically get transported to this Haven City, which looks like this almost like apocalyptic, futuristic kind of city.
Yeah.
And fucking Jack gets put in prison for like 2 years and is experimented on with dark eco. They like inject it into him.
Word.
So like you start the game, Daxter breaks you out of prison, and then you have to like escape prison, and you're like using your dark eco powers to just fuck shit up.
Word.
That's before you even get a gun.
Yeah.
Low-key, Jack 2 was a badass game. I love that
Damn,
game.
yeah, I don't think I played Jack 3, I guess.
Jack
I think
3?
I played 1 and
Yeah.
3.
It's a lot like Jack 2.
Okay.
But Jack 2
Yeah.
is kind of what started the whole
Yeah.
Jack 3 kind of stuff.
Jack 3 he's still edgelord because of the dark ego, but he encounters light ego and he finally starts to become balanced and not a total fucking war machine.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I think that might be the one.
Although, I agree, John Gillespie, Ratchet and Clank, you could turn people into ducks in that
Yeah,
game.
dude, Up Your Arsenal was so good. Like,
Oh my god, dude.
especially the multiplayer in Up Your Arsenal, that was so fun.
That's how it was in there in the 2000s. You were either Jack and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's
Although
a
I
good
like
time.
both, I didn't have a problem with
Yeah,
either.
but like, I'm just like, it's not like choosing, it's just, you know how it is with parents. You get one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I
What's up, Xavier?
I picked Jack and Daxter, and my buddy Taylor had Ratchet and Clank, so me and him would just swap. Man, I miss borrowing games.
Right? Like Blockbuster, like the good old days where you could like just go and like go get any of the newest games and just try them out for a little bit. Like that shit was so dope.
If Blockbuster got fucking greedy, though, it's like, oh, you were late 2 hours. That's going to be a $40 extra fee.
Yeah. But you
See, like, where you at now, Blockbuster? Nowhere.
do you remember like when you could get like back in the day, like when Nintendo 64 and like PS1 was like kind of falling out, and like PS2, like a few years after the PS2 had released, but you could get like N64 games and like PS1 games for like literally like $6, like Mario Party and stuff like that. Like I loved it. I got so many because I didn't get an N64 until later on, and I got an N64 like well after the PS2 was released. I played my buddies when I was younger, but I didn't have one. And I remember I got a whole lot of really solid titles for it, like for like next to nothing, like pawn shops and freaking Blockbuster.
Flea markets.
Yep, that was dope. And now those games are worth like $30 to $100.
Now
like,
you're gonna spend $100 just to get a used N64.
Right.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like
The the con of the century that I did years ago. I think I was like 17 or 18. My buddy Tyler, he needed money for some reason. He was like, "Yo, dude, I'll sell you my N64 and the controllers and all the games for $20." And I was like, "Dude,
Hell yeah.
I got like 20 games, 3 controllers, and a Nintendo 64 for $20."
That's the best $20 you ever spent.
Damn straight.
Yeah. He's like, "Hey, man, think I can buy my shit back?" I'm like, "Oh, no kids these backseats."
No, I feel the same. I would have done the same thing, man.
You didn't do your research.
All right. Actually, I wish I wouldn't have sold like a lot of the 64 games. I didn't get ripped off, so to speak, but we had this place up in Charlotte before like retro games really blew up again, and like they were offering decent prices for some of them, but some of the games, like I had Conkers, and now that's like, you know, like $100 to $120 game in some places.
That's the hot commodity.
Exactly.
Now, Conker.
Like I had it, and I think I sold it to him for like $15. And I'm just like, if I would have just held it like 2 or 3, and I did it when I was like trying to build a computer, because like I was trying to like, you know, build up money to build a computer when I was in like middle school. And so like I sold like a lot of my games and whatnot to do that. And yeah, I sold it for like $15, and that was like...
You got GameStop.
Basically, yeah, basically. But GameStop at the time used to not be that bad. They used to offer pretty decent prices, because this was when they had to compete with like EV Games still and whatnot, so...
Now it seems like they're going the way of old Blockbuster.
Yep.
Dude, are you excited to see the new movie, Elliot?
What movie?
The new Avenger movie.
Oh, true.
This movie's gonna be like over 3, like this thing is like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's
3
gonna...
hours and 2 minutes, I think, is the runtime.
It's gonna be here in like 3 weeks or something like that. I don't remember what day it comes out, but
And I have not, like, I need to catch up on my Marvel movies and everything. Like, I have not been up to date on anything.
well, make sure
But-
you watch Infinity War.
Well, I know about Thanos
Before
and stuff, so,
that.
like, don't they, like,
Yeah.
go after Thanos in this one or whatever? And, like,
Yeah.
stop
I'm
him?
calling his ass next
No
time.
one really knows exactly what's gonna happen in this one, but
Yeah.
that's the premise.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
now, who knows if that's actually what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
I hope it happens.
Yeah, I saw those, like, memes with, like, them going up Thanos' ass. I didn't really understand.
That's a huge meme now.
But,
It's
like-
because Ant-Man, you know, his power is like he can get small.
Yeah.
He was mysteriously absent in Infinity War.
Oh.
Well, we didn't find out why he was absent. Well, there's if you finish watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, they put a little bit more detail in it as to why he was gone.
I actually haven't seen Wasp.
Honestly,
so that's why he doesn't know.
You can, dude. I haven't seen it either, but you just need to know what happens at the end.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't even seen it.
You know what happened?
I know what happens at the end though.
The only thing that I hate about myself, it's hard for me to watch movies, dude.
Well, fucking Marvel has 25 damn movies you gotta watch.
Right. Like, I haven't seen any Marvel movies. Like, I'm overwhelmed by trying to, like, start this shit. Like,
Black Panther's actually amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
Black
yeah.
Panther was good.
I
It was
wanna
really
see-
good, but I feel
yeah.
like it was a tad overrated.
I don't know. I really want to see
It's
Black
just
Panther.
gonna be, I mean, like, it's the first black real superhero.
Yeah.
Besides Blade.
Besides Blade. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, in freaking Darkness.
It was the first, like, it was like first big mainstream, like,
Yeah.
oh my god, that's a superhero, like,
It's the first lead black role in the MCU.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Machine Gun. The machine gun. War Machine.
You're talking about.
Oh, Falcon.
Falcon?
His name's Hawk. Or something.
Falcon?
Or yeah, Hawkeye. No, not Hawkeye.
Jeremy Renner. The Renner. He's the black dude in, he's an Ant-Man. He sees Ant-Man.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that
Falcon or
dude.
whatever. I just don't remember his actual name.
Falcon is a bird.
No, I'm pretty sure his name's Falcon.
Yeah, I said Hawk, Falcon, whatever, it's a bird.
That guy, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah, I mean, no one made a big deal about him. Now, if
He
he
didn't
got
get
his own movie,
He didn't get his own movie.
he didn't get his own movie.
I ain't hating on it, but that dude does not have enough character depth to get his own movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
No
really
one would go
good
watch
at
his own
it.
movie. Wait, for Falcon. Not Falcon.
I would watch a Falcon movie.
Falcon, no one would see your movie. Oh.
What if low-key they made a Falcon movie and it was like the most badass movie ever? Like,
I mean,
He's got a jetpack with wings.
he replaces Tony Stark whenever he leaves or whatever.
I can't even hold on. Because I'm not like.
Instead of Iron Man, he'd be Obsidian Man.
Honestly, I was not.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was so
Yeah,
behind on
yeah.
Marvel, but Elena and Chase helped me get caught up. Like within a span of like a month, I watched every movie.
Because you binge watch the hell out of anything.
See, that's what's
True.
I do with most things. Like, I really need to get caught up on those because, like, I've been really like, where do I even start? Like,
There's an actual, I'm pretty sure
That's a good
Scott
question.
can show you like the chronological order.
Oh yeah,
you
you made
watch
like a
everything.
list.
Yeah, there's actually you can Google it online.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
chronological list that you should watch the
I
movies
don't
on.
remember.
Because they're not by what year they came out
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because, dude, trust me, when I watched Infinity Wars before I'd ever seen Ragnarok, and I couldn't see.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you gotta see Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is, where's Thor's eye?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Infinity War takes place right after Ragnarok.
okay, gotcha.
It's good.
It's in Civil Wars before all that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Civil
Okay,
War is
that's what-
before.
Because I remember Civil War and
Ragnarok.
stuff. Like, I didn't see it, but like I remember a lot of people talked about it because it was like a big deal.
I didn't really get into the MCU until Infinity War.
Yeah. See, I've never been like a big comic book fan. Like, it's not that I don't like them. I just never like. I was always into like anime and stuff like that. Like as a kid.
Yeah, I'm the same
Same
way.
here. Like, my dad was like, one of my buddies at work, Nate, he's super big into comics because his dad used to collect them. My dad collected records.
Yeah.
So,
And see,
I like music.
that's kind of me too. Like my mom was always, into music, not so much the others. And I mean, they didn't really have a whole bunch of comic book stuff on like the cartoon channels when we were kids. It was mostly like Toonami and anime, like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, all that good stuff. So.
Well, there was Boomerang, but honestly, the old cartoons are cool, but they never really satiated me.
Yeah, and especially like the older comic book based like cartoons are severely lacking. Like.
Yeah, like.
Now the newer ones I hear are really good, like the animated Batman series and like the new animated Spider-Man. I hear is going to be really good.
See, I'll check out that one, but honestly, I don't really like Batman.
See, that's DC. I like the Dark Knight. That was just with Heath Ledger. Like that was a fantastic movie, just through and through. Regardless, like I didn't like the first Batman. Batman, what is it? Returns.
Yeah, the one with Liam Neeson.
Yeah, the one where he's
or he fights Scarecrow.
Scarecrow. Yeah. I didn't really like that one, but
I never watched that one until after Dark Knight.
Me too.
I cannot remember the last Batman movie. Actually, no, I can. It had George Clooney in it.
Oh yeah, well, that was before Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That was Batman.
Oh, that you're
Old
talking
Batman.
about like with
Old
Michael
Batman.
Keaton.
No, when George Clooney was Batman.
Oh, George. Okay.
And fucking who was Robin? Who was Robin with George Clooney? It was some other guy who's famous now.
Schwarzenegger was Mr. Freeze.
Yes, and dude, you know Dynamo, that guy I showed you who did that Randy Savage mix?
Yes.
He has one from that movie he does where it's called High Freeze on Batman. And I'm going to send you a link to it because I think you'd like it. I can't even describe
It was pretty good.
I love me some Mr. Freeze.
Well,
I did love me some Mr. Freeze as a kid too.
Just imagine Dynamo with George Clooney as Batman and Mr. Freeze as Schwarzenegger, and it's just a good remix.
When I was a kid, I had this action figure. It was Mr. Freeze action figure, and it was so cool because you could take his head off. It was based off the cartoon version of Mr. Freeze, like when they were doing the animated Batman series and whatnot. But you could take his head off, and you could there was like a chest compartment that came down. And it was such a cool toy. Like, it was like one of my favorite action figures. I just thought it was so dope. But, yeah.
Dude, I miss action figures.
Right?
Dude, whenever Toys R Us closed down, I was so, like, confused. I was like, is this really the time we live in now that no one plays with toys anymore?
Yeah.
They're back, dude.
They're not that bad.
No, Toys R Us is back?
Yeah, they're back.
Oh, I
Wait,
didn't
are they?
know that.
Hold up.
Yeah.
I'm about to look this shit
Apparently
up.
someone helped them out. Someone did like, I don't know
Oh.
typical words, but they did like a
A
buyout.
bailout.
And someone gave them money to stay afloat.
I heard that they were looking to do it. I didn't hear that it actually happened, though.
Last
Who's
time,
coming
like,
back?
I could be completely wrong.
No, you're right.
The internet is such a vast place with lots of information.
No, I think you're right.
Wrong shit.
Yeah, you're right, but it looks like it's coming back under a new name.
Oh,
But yeah, dude, I'm down to do some more Jack and Daxter. Or, not some more, but to do Jack and Daxter.
dude, I'm so down.
You know, that Jack and Daxter was on my list of games that I wanted to play to do Let's Plays for. Like, right behind Kingdom Hearts.
Maybe it was on mine. I was on YouTube the other day, and there was this video. It was like my favorite video game soundtracks or whatever, and there was these people talking, and they were like, "Dude, I fucking love Jack and Daxter's soundtrack. It's just so pleasant to listen to.
It really is.
You know, the boom, boom, ba-da-dum, boom, 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 ba-da-dum."
It really does have a classic, like, platformer kind of soundtrack.
Yeah, it did. Like, it was... Dude, it's super hard to do 3D platforming, and they nailed it.
Yeah, they really did.
For the most part. The camera angles are still... Oh, they're a doozy. Because one false jump, and you're going down.
Dude, I used to play that game so much, I can still get all the power cells.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, dude, we got 100% this thing.
Yeah, dude, we even got to get all the damn orbs.
That's what I was...
All
I
the
played
precursor
I
orbs.
didn't play any farther than the training level, but I got every power cell and every orb on that thing. And I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be a fucking journey.
Hey man, don't feel bad because I've 100% that game before. Like I can do it again.
Jack and Daxter?
Yeah.
Every couple moons or whatever, me and you get the craving to play old shit,
Dude.
and then we literally beat it into the ground.
I haven't 100% a video game in so long, like actually 100%ed it, like...
There's only a few that I have legit 100%, and it's mostly stuff from like my early childhood.
Yeah.
John, 100% Black Flag. It's not worth it. It takes too much time.
And then there's some games that are like that you just shouldn't do. Like,
Actually, one of the last games was Assassin's Creed. What was the third one in the second trilogy? Was it Revelation? Yeah, Revelations. I did 100% Revelations.
there you go.
I hated Revelations.
I love the whole Ezio story. So
My love for that series died after Black Flag, and they changed all the controls.
oh yeah, no, I didn't like it. I see. Well, I just recently, and I was telling this earlier on the stream, but I recently got on. I can't remember the name of the website. It's like Green Man or something. It's weird. But they were selling Far Cry 5 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I got both of them for like $30 together.
What a damn deal, man!
Yeah, dude. And so I ended up getting both of those, and I haven't played Odyssey, but I haven't played any Assassin's Creed since Black Flag. So I'm really interested to see what has changed, but I've heard some mixed things, so I'm a little worried, but we'll see.
I've played a little bit of Odyssey, and it's fun, but it's just, it's not the same. Like,
Yeah.
It's not, the combat's not the same. Like, when you were Edward Kenway, you could literally fucking swing onto an enemy ship, and you can take out every single person on that damn boat.
Yeah.
And this one is like, people have levels, and if you go against someone that's a higher level than you, you're more than likely going to get your shit kicked in.
And then there's like the legendary ships you can battle against, right?
I love me some legendary ships.
Now, did you like Assassin's Creed 3?
Yeah, 3 and 4 were the last ones I truly loved because I love 3. I love parkour and running up buildings and jumping across shit. But whenever they got into the forest, that's when I really loved it because that's what I used to do as a kid, just jump around from fucking tree to tree, have fun.
Yeah.
Like the fact you can just like run up a log, climb a tree, hide up in the fucking bushes, hide up in the what's the word? The foliage. And wait for fucking redcoats to just walk underneath you and just tomahawk.
See, 3 was one of those that, like, I felt mixed about. Like, I actually liked 4, like, Black Flag, better than 3, in my opinion. But, like...
Dude, as soon as you put pirates with anything, Elliot's there with a hard on.
Yeah. No, I like this. I went from liking the second one, the trilogy. The only one in the... I did not like Brotherhood, which was the second one in the Assassin's Creed 2 Ezio trilogy.
I actually like Brotherhood. That's weird, because I didn't like Assassin's Creed 2. Like... Because it's not that I didn't like Ezio, it was just,
See, I didn't like the first one. The Assassin's Creed 1 was not, I did not really like it. The second one was okay. I didn't really, it just was okay. Brotherhood in that trilogy, it was, again, kind of one that was probably my least favorite one. But then Revelations, like I said, was my favorite out of the Ezio trilogy. And then 3 I thought was just okay, and then 4 I really liked again. But I've kind of, and I don't know, I need to go back and play them, because I mean, I'm basing this off of, right after, it's been years since I've played any of them, so I really need to go back and play the older ones, but...
I straight up refuse to play Assassin's Creed 1 again.
Oh, no, yeah, no, I will not go back to Assassin's Creed 1.
It was bad. It was because I literally got to the very last level and my goddamn save file got corrupted.
Dude, it was so repetitive, though.
That's the only one I've ever played.
Do that.
The first one?
Yeah.
John,
How you played
has
4?
a similar story.
No.
He got all the way through
Which one is 4?
Wind Waker
Black Flag, the one
to the
with...
final
I've
level,
seen people play it.
and it's
I've never
Josh
actually
played it a lot over at
Yeah.
Didn't you? Don't you own it?
No, it was Josh's copy.
Oh,
that he
he
used
just
to
played it
I used to
all the
watch
time.
him play all the time.
Gotcha, okay.
Loki, if I was gonna go back to Assassin's Creed, I would start again. I would pick up Black Flag just because that game looks so fun.
Yeah, because I remember like he would be over at your house all the time playing it.
Yeah,
so I thought
he
you
would
were
be
playing
playing
it too.
Nah, I've actually.
I introduced that game to him.
Yeah, it's because of Elliot. Yeah.
I know he was obsessed with it back then.
Man, I remember back in the day when me and Elliot would go and see Josh, and he'd be over there playing Skyrim. Gosh.
That was us.
That was right before you showed him Black Flag, because then he got into Black Flag after Skyrim.
Actually.
Yeah, and then we didn't hang out for like 2 weeks, and then he's got everything fucking upgraded.
That's the way Josh is, though. If he gets really stuck into a game, he will 100% that shit.
That's what you do as well.
He's a completionist.
Skyrim, I'll leave you alone for a couple days, you find out glitches, and now you're getting a million damage.
Look, man, I get it from Josh, man. Me and him have been playing games for a long time, you know. Like,
yeah, I guess you, like, you're running a family, obsessive compulsive disorder, and narcolepsy.
Yep. It's true. Elliot knows more than anybody.
Wait, Elliot is all-knowing?
He has seen the way me and Josh are.
Oh.
We both have narcolepsy.
I know a bunch of random stupid fun facts, but...
Wait, how do you have narcolepsy?
Motherfuckers are when it
That's
comes to
because I'm always
games.
falling asleep.
Oh.
In general, like, if they find something they really enjoy, they're gonna beat it into the fucking ground. And while we're hanging out,
True.
they're gonna be like, no, man, I'm wide awake.
Got 18 minutes on that, okay.
Like, literally, I've looked at Scott and John, like, you guys need to go to the doctor and see if you guys have narcolepsy.
But Scotty just falls asleep when he gets really stoned, like...
It's one thing to just fall asleep, but it's another thing to just fall asleep 8 times in a row. Like,
What?
hey man, yeah man, and then in mid-fucking YouTube search, fall asleep. my phone, I look over there, hey, you gonna play it?
When did that happen, man?
That happened like, I think it was like a month or two ago. It was like 2:30 in the morning. We've been hanging out for maybe like an hour and a half, something like that. And I'm like, you sure you don't want me to head home, buddy? You're looking tired. No, man, I'm wide awake.
Like 3 minutes later, I'm just passed out.
Yeah, that's the rule. If I have to wake up Scott 3 times, on the 3rd time, Scott, go to bed.
Someone keeps joining our live stream and then leaving. And it has to be someone that's already joined. Because I keep seeing it go from 2 to 3 to 2 to 3. So I'm like, who
is any one of these people?
And like, I don't like ever have it. It doesn't. I don't know how to check who exactly it is. And it says Brianna is watching with you, but none of these other people. It says just join. So how is she watching it with me?
That's weird. Huh.
I don't know if she is still watching it or if she is watching it with me, but I just don't understand that.
Yeah, that is weird.
I'm gonna have to figure that one out. Cause I wonder if that like messes up the views or if that changes. I wonder if she comes in and looks at something, does that like then shoot it up or? Yeah, that's really weird. Okay.
But yeah, Scott, one time I remember you called me and you were like, you said you fell asleep at the wheel. Do you remember that? But you were in traffic. He was at a stoplight and he said people were honking at him. And then he realized he fell asleep. Like, at a stoplight. And I was like, Scott. So you're just sitting there and then you just like fall asleep. He does it all the time.
Dude, I can't say anything though. Like, I've almost fallen asleep driving so many times. Like, it's an issue. It's really an issue.
It really is. You gotta.
Literally, like, I would pay to see this interaction. Sir, you been drinking tonight? No, sleep. Do a sobriety test. He willingly does the fucking your breathalyzer. It goes 0, 0.
I was just really tired, man. I fell asleep at a stoplight.
Just really tired.
I need to sleep.
Can I take a nap in the back of your car real quick?
Like, just leave me here.
I don't think EMTs seem to have 50 cc's of sleep.
Let me check.
You got any adrenaline in there? Adrenaline shot?
Oh,
damn, it's still recording.
Wow.
Okay, so
how long has it
I
been?
lost my shit the other night. So you remember the
3,858 bars.
Oh my god.
Don't know how
Oh,
long.
Also,
wait,
just so
where?
you know, that's at 1%.
Yeah, it's about to die.
Hey, Ellie, I gotta plug up my phone real quick. But, when were you planning on, coming over if you were gonna come through?
I was gonna play. I was probably gonna play one more game with John, Shane, and Andrew.
Thank you, John, for still watching.
Hell yeah, man. Feel free to come this way anytime, because I'll be up pretty late, so. And my phone will be alive.
So I'll go get some beer and I'll come over.
Hell yeah.
Word.
Sounds like a good idea, broski.
Alright, well, I love all y'all.
Love you too.
And I
Love
will
you too.
see y'all in a little bit.
All right,
See you in a little
homie.
bit, man.
See you in a bit.
Welcome back to Mellow Bros Podcast.
Yes. Even though we've been recording this whole time, Scotty. But what? Yeah, we lost a whole bunch of our videos. So basically, just understand that this timing and the way that I'm going to end up editing this is not how it happened in real time. There's like a 4-hour video now on YouTube that you can all check out, but this is not how long our normal podcast is going to be. We just need content to put on the YouTube channel, so we are now going to probably re-go over some things we already talked about and kind of go from there, because we only got 6 minutes. What was it, say like 6.5 or something like
It was
that?
like 13
Oh,
minutes.
yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh, no, yeah, 13. It was like 13 minutes of
us talking about Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, so basically the first part of the podcast where we just introduced ourselves, and we'll split that up into there, but, yeah, so where should we start back at? So we were talking about Toys R Us, and I was looking, because we were talking about when Elliot was on the phone just a minute ago, basically, how it kind of sucked, because, we grew up with the Toys R Us, and, being that was a big part, and not so much that we shopped at Toys R Us necessarily, just that it was a big part of, toys in general, and, toys, it feels like, have kind of fallen out of favor. But apparently Toys R Us is coming back in some way, shape, or form without the actual name Toys R Us from what it says. I think it may be called Toys R Us Online. I think there is still going to be like an online retailer. It's home away by billions of dollars in debt and have lost the battle with industry powerhouses like Amazon and Walmart. I guess they haven't decided what the name will be. From what I can see, it's just that it's under new management, and they're working with vendors, basically. But, I mean, what do you guys think about the actual, like, industry now? Like, I know you have, like, a younger brother, like, what, and I mean, he's not obviously playing with toys anymore, he's in high school now, but, like, I feel like the younger generation doesn't really, like, play, like, action figures were, like, kind of a big deal and stuff when we were a kid.
Yeah.
And, like, trading cards, too. Like, it's like, I don't see that as much anymore. Like,
nah.
It's all technology now, which is cool. There's, good benefits to technology, but when that's all there is, like, that's not really...
Our generation was at an interesting time.
Yeah.
Because we were, like, in the middle of the transition.
Yeah.
Because we grew up playing with toys, and we also grew up playing, games and stuff. But it wasn't as advanced as the technology is now.
Yeah.
We saw, like, the beginning of it.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because, like, I mean, I even remember a time, I mean, there were cell phones, but not, like, everybody had cell phones, obviously, and, like, I remember a time when, there was, I mean, DVDs were just coming out. Like, you had some VHSs, but it was a completely different thing, obviously. And it's just crazy, like, even in our lifetime, like, yes, I was born 95, you were 94. 95. So, like, obviously, we were kind of at that tail end, or that, like, very beginning part of when, like, the internet was first getting bigger. They had it before. I think the internet started in like 88 or 89 technically, but it was nothing but a military like use system for the first like few years. And then eventually it went on to become like, public, and we had like AOL and stuff like that with dial-up. But it's just crazy. Like, I feel like there was a whole lot more. Like, we had to play with kids. Like, we had to play, like, actually go outside and like interact with people. And I feel like that's kind of missing. And even now, like, our generation, it's weird because I feel like even though we grew up knowing how to socialize and knowing how to deal with other people, I feel like so many people in our generation have just moved over to, like, Facebook and, like, moved over to that being their primary source of communication with other people. And that's kind of a scary and a sad thing at the same time, because we're not really having that. I hate, like, not being with a person or, like, around someone. Like, there's an interaction that you get with being with someone in a room like we are right now, or just, having face-to-face conversation that is appealing and just just in general better. Like, it's a better experience for everybody. And I feel like so much of that is kind of lost in a lot of ways, and I feel, the growing up that we kind of had that, but this new generation doesn't even have that from a childhood. So, like, how is that going to ultimately affect us, Like,
I definitely think people are going to change.
Yeah. No, it's going to be real interesting, because, I mean, even seeing, it could be very positive. I feel in certain aspects, like, I feel like people are more conscious now of certain things, and not necessarily like social justice warriors or anything, so to speak, but they're more conscious of their actions, and I feel like they, you know, we're improving in intelligence as far as like
Advancement?
yeah, and like knowledge of like topics because we have it all, and it's not even retaining these topics, but we have more knowledge of like various subjects because we have Wikipedia, which is a huge, you know, information source. But also, for one, we're not retaining it as much, and it's really not. How do I put this? It's not really helping unless you are trying to actively keep it, like the information that you retain, you know, if you're trying to actively like memorize it and like use it, I feel like it can kind of make people smarter and stupider at the same time because they have all the information at their fingertips. If they don't know something, they can look it up. But like back in the day, we had to go to like encyclopedias, like, you know, actually like take a little bit more time to find out, so the information that we received, I guess we retained it longer, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there was more effort put into finding this information.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like,
that.
yeah, you can just kind of look, and it's kind of an instant, you know, gratification kind of thing. And again, I'm just interested to see how it turns out, because I feel like it can either be very, very good depending on, you know, how the generation coming up after us is using it, or it could be really bad. But I mean, people say the same thing of our generation. People still hate on us, say that we're lazy and shit. But I think it's been shown that we work more and harder than any generation ever. Like, we don't work longer hours, like we don't work in factories. But as far as like the work to money ratio that we have to work, we work longer and harder than like any other generation before us. So
it feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, I believe that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not working in factories. We're not getting like popcorn lung. We're not dying. Well, we're probably dying of cancer just from radiation exposure in the air. But we're not being exposed to some of the things that some of the other people in earlier generations had to be exposed to, work condition wise. But at the same time, it's like if you look at like our parents and grandparents, they had free time, like they, you know, were able to do a lot, and like we have free time. Like, I don't want to say we don't have any free time, but it's like look at what we're doing right now. We're doing something that, you know, technically we could try to do as like a business, and like so it's like our minds are constantly focused in this, like, just growing up in America, like we have to do stuff to make money. And like it almost becomes like imperative.
Yeah, it almost.
You always have to be doing something.
Yeah, like, or you don't feel like fulfilled almost, and it sucks to feel that way. Like you know, and that's something I've tried to, you know, I try myself not to feel that way, but it's sometimes hard because that's what, you know, you're told by society and everybody that you need. Like, you need to be working towards something. You need to be working to, you know, have a career, you know, find your place and whatnot.
It's like, it's a life script.
Yeah.
They have expectations.
Basically, and I don't know, it's weird sometimes. It sucks.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I definitely agree with that.
But I just feel like if you look at the 50s, and I'm not saying the 50s were a better time, there was a lot of bad shit that was going on in the 50s and a lot of bad shit that was going on in the 60s, but as far as the ideal of the 50s and 60s, which was, you know, you work, basically it was, and I forget where I saw this, but I was reading or watching something, I can't remember where it was, but basically, you know, the promise of the 50s, 60s, and 70s was shorter work hours with more income for more leisure time within society.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the American dream, the promise of the American workforce, is you would start getting more, like, as more and more people were born, more and more, you know, technology was improving, we would get more, you know, free time, less work hours, more leisure, and basically more money for working less hours. But, yeah, we've had all this technology, and we've improved tenfold. Like, robots can basically do just about everything that we can do. But technically we're making less money than, if you look at like inflation rates and stuff like that, we're making less money than ever before.
Yeah.
Like, I think the minimum wage was like, in like 1970s or 80s was like $5 or like $3 or $4 an hour or something like that. And if you look at like the adjusted scale between that time inflation then and now, it's like even at minimum wage they were basically making like $13 an hour based on what we currently make. So that's minimum wage. Like that would be because our minimum wage is $7 right now. So if $7, now it would be, if we did it from back then, we would be making like what, 18 an hour, something like that. But that's very rare to find someone making $18 an hour. So it's just kind of bullshit.
It is.
And like working in insurance, it's definitely like, I hate the fact that I'm just behind a computer all the time. Like that's what really bothers me, is just like, and I don't mind like if it was a creative job where there's computer work. Like I love computers. I love working on computers. I don't like working on a computer all day long for 12 hours, 10 hours a day, just staring at a computer, not being able to do anything else except for just receiving and answering calls all day long. That's a completely different kind of computer work that I don't know how I've done it for 3 years, but I have. And I just...
Yeah. It's stressful just thinking of that.
Yeah. And I mean, I know, like, you work Little Caesars, and I know that's, it's rough being that it's, in the food industry, so to speak. But even for me, like, I feel like, you work with our friend Chase, and you have people around you, like, I feel like I would be even happier in a position where I was able to interact with even my coworkers more. Because, like, I don't get to interact with my coworkers hardly at all, other than, like...
I have my crew.
Exactly. Like,
I have to train them and teach them and shit.
When I'm in between calls, obviously, like, if I have Gerald, beside me, or if I'm, depending on where I'm sitting, whoever I have beside me or near me, like, I can talk to them for maybe a minute, if I'm lucky, like, if we're not that busy that day, and we have some free time, like, because some days we have some downtime that we're, not doing stuff on the phone. And so, you can kind of make a relationship with someone, but it's not anything, like, when I worked in retail, like, ultimately I wasn't happy necessarily there at the video game cavern when I worked there, but it was a lot better than where I'm working now as far as, like, my mental state with my job, and, like, I felt more fulfilled there, if that makes any sense. Like, here I just don't really feel like I'm making any kind of difference, and not that I felt, it was a video game store, I mean, I wasn't making a huge difference, but at least I was, like, I could see people's reaction if they were happy about something, like, if they enjoyed something, if they enjoyed having a conversation with me, or, they just want to tell me a story about their day. Like, that's, fun to listen to sometimes, and, hear from other people. And on the phone, there's just not that, like, you'll hear it, but most of the time it's just anger. There's not a whole lot of intimacy, because when people don't like using the phone, a lot of people don't, so they just are angry if they have to call in and use the phone. So, we just get yelled at a lot, basically. And I don't know, I'd really, and that's one thing I'm hoping with being in school myself. I just hope that, I can use whatever my degree is, whatever I ultimately decide to do my degree in. I'm hoping I can do something in some kind of field that will be more interactive with people, because I enjoy interacting with people. Like, that's something I do enjoy, and that's, a lot of people don't, but I feel more fulfilled when I work with people, I guess. So I don't know, but
yeah, it makes you happier,
So,
Yeah, I feel that.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
what what are you guys doing this next week?
Next week. What day? You're talking about next week?
Just in general.
Oh,
Is there any
okay.
stuff going on?
Nothing really. I mean, next weekend, next Sunday, I don't know. My uncle's gonna be in town.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna probably be over at my parents' house.
Word. So how is that gonna work? Do you think you can do like an hour or two to do like a podcast that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just might have to be like a little bit later. Like we might have to shoot it later at night or something.
Word does. Yeah, that's cool. What is he just coming for that day?
He's gonna be here Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. He hasn't been in South Carolina since like the 90s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
This is my uncle who lives in Montana.
Is it your dad's brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad's brother.
Gotcha. Have you you've met him before though, right?
Oh yeah, I see him every time we go to Montana.
Okay, gotcha.
But he's coming down here because my grandpa
Yeah.
passed back in October,
Yeah.
and he has to like come give us like inheritance money. And we're gonna just all hang out and chill as a family.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So like, when's the last time you actually saw him?
We went up to Montana in 2017.
Okay.
I saw him then.
I can't remember. I knew you. It was like a few years ago. The last time you went up, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, and then we went again the time before that, like in 2013.
Okay.
I see him every couple years or so.
Does your sister still live in Colorado?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, she still lives in Denver.
Word. What Does she ever come down here?
Not really.
Okay.
She has before, like she was living in Tennessee for a little while, but not really. The only time I really see her is if, like, the whole family's together. Like, I saw her, she went up to Montana with us to go to my grandma's funeral.
How are your
That's the last time I saw her.
How are your grandparents that live?
Here?
Yeah.
They're doing good.
Word.
They still live in front of my parents' house. Yeah. They're actually about to go on, like, a road trip. Take, like, a vacation and go look at some
I thought they were
historic.
already gone.
Maybe they already went.
Where are they going?
A lot of different places.
Oh.
One of the places they're going to stay at is this haunted mansion or this haunted hotel or something
Really?
that this girl died in or something.
Yeah.
And my mom,
Crazy.
my grandma Nan is going to leave like a pearl necklace for her or something, or like
Earrings,
a silver necklace,
yeah.
silver earrings.
Earrings, yeah.
For
Because
the
there's
dead
like
woman?
a legend. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like folklore or something
Oh.
that if you leave the earrings for her, something will happen or something.
Yeah. Like, no, the folklore, because I remember she told me, it was like, every time someone goes to that hotel and they stay in that room and they leave something on that counter, it's gone the next day. So she's going to leave the earrings and see if she took them, I guess.
Oh, okay. So she's going to play an experiment.
Yeah.
God.
What if they actually are?
Damn. What
I'd like to do something like that. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Like,
That'd be
I just like I want to really like I want to go like take a trip soon.
Me too, so
Like,
much.
I
I love traveling. It's in my blood.
Me too.
I love it
and like
so
me
much.
like when we were together, me and Brandon were talking about taking like a cruise and like
Oh, that'd be too
I want to take a cruise so bad. I'm like I really want to. I mean I don't want to go by myself though.
You know,
so
some
that's the
cruises are
thing.
actually kind of cheap though.
Yeah, well, the ones that we were looking at was like we could get like 2 tickets all together for like, I mean, it's not cheap, but like $700, and it's like
It's
a week long.
I say like a week, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
for
pretty
like
good.
amenities and stuff like that, and
What?
yeah, it was like I think a Bahamas one or like something like that, like not anything too far. But I also wanted to look at. I know Alaska ones are more expensive.
Yeah.
But I really would like to go on an Alaska cruise. I actually went on one. The one cruise I've ever been on, I went when I was younger with my grandma to Alaska on a cruise, and it was awesome. But it was like a shorter cruise. I think it was only like 5 days. I don't even think it was 7 days if I remember correctly. But I really want to go back because we only got to go to like 3 ports, and there's a few like we didn't go to like I think Juneau, which is the like primary. Juneau is the capital of Alaska. We didn't go to the capital, and a few other places we didn't go. And I'd like to go on a cruise that actually goes to those places. But it was beautiful and just really fun. So I'd really like to go there again, but I think it's a little bit more expensive. It's like more like $1,000 a ticket, basically. I think if you're doing that. But that's the only thing that sucks is with cruises, you also have to factor in like most cruises you'll get room service. Like you'll get room service and food is included in the ticket price. Most. I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but most of them are. But you still have to pay if you want like soda or beer, or wine or anything. You have to pay for like these pack. You can pay for each individual drink if you want to, or you can buy packages, which basically you can buy like a beer package, which for the whole week you can basically get as much beer as you want. Or if you want a soda package, you can get as much soda as you want. So you have to pay for like each individual packages like separately depending on what you want. And then there's like other stuff that you can like pay for separate as well. So there are some added expenses in that, but I don't think they're like super, super expensive more. Like it's just something that you will have to factor in. But I don't know, I'd really like to go. I just don't know if it'll be within the next year. I really want to go to Japan.
I do too. Elliot wants to go to Japan too. Him and Victoria are talking about going.
Or honestly, like that was gonna be our honeymoon. Like we were gonna go to Japan.
Oh really?
Yeah. Like
that would be really cool.
I just really I want to go. Yeah, like I want to go to Kyoto. I want to go to the gardens. Like I want to go to Tokyo and see like the Shibuya and like Akira or Akihabara district where there's like all the anime and video games and like arcades are still there, like giant arcades, and like just like see the whole experience of Japan just because like I've always enjoyed like that culture, even though it's weird. It's weird. It has its quirks just like any culture, but it's always been really fascinating. So I think it'd be a cool trip to
that'd
take.
be a cool experience.
Yeah.
Like if you went to Japan though, wouldn't you need a translator, or do they? I don't even know if they
So,
speak English.
Yeah, from what I understand, you'll want to learn like because Japan uses 3 different languages. Japanese has 3 different scripts and dialects. From what I understand, it's hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Kanji is like the traditional Chinese-based Japanese, which there's like thousands of characters. That's what you learn in school in Japan, basically. After like hiragana and katakana, I think katakana is like English, like romanticized Japanese, which only has like 20 different characters or something, and then I think hiragana has like 40 or something, and I could be a little bit off on these obviously, but kanji has thousands. So from what I understand, you want to learn at least hiragana and katakana, which you can usually learn in about a week if you like dedicate yourself, from what I was hearing or from what I read, because I was looking pretty intensely into it. So as long as you learn those and maybe a little bit of kanji, you should be pretty good. But a lot of the people there, like, they may not speak it to you, like, because Japan gets like real nervous about like appearances and stuff. So if they think that they, if they think they'll either look weird or sound weird saying something, they would rather just not say it at all than try. Basically, it's just the way the culture is. So, they may understand your English, but they may not speak it to you. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where, you can get around pretty easily without a translator for the most part, but you'll want to either learn a little bit or have a translator or some kind of, even a translation app like Google Translate that you can like type something out and show them. That works as well, from what I understand. And this is the end here. We lost the last part of our video as well. We really appreciate everyone who tuned in, and our live video on YouTube Live and eventually Twitch will be every Sunday, usually around 6, but stay tuned. We'll update our Facebook to let you know. And again, thank you everybody who tuned in and watched us. We really appreciate your support.